This panel is called The Tech Advantage in Diamond and Gemstone Supply Chain, and Margot may have another idea about that, but she may present that during the panel. Because may I ask our moderator, Margot Stewart, to come up and to the stage, and I have received very specific instructions. That means that Bernard is going to follow, and he's going to sit in the first, and Pritas in the second, Bruno Scarcelli in the third, Clemens in the fourth, and Hans in the fifth. And guys, I need microphones up here. They are being charged. But if Margot wants, she can actually start a presentation from here until the microphones arrive. Enjoy the panel.
Thank you, Jay. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting us to this amazing event. I'm honored to be able to moderate this panel on the tech advantage in diamond and gemstone supply chain. I've prepared just a few slides, not to bore you, but to give you a small update on the key findings from our last original luxury roundtable that took place in December with over 100 luxury stakeholders and technology partners to discuss the pressing matters of transparency and traceability. So I don't know if we can start my presentation. Okay. So it's undeniable that the diamond and gemstone industry is evolving rapidly and is shaped by two powerful forces. On one hand, you have the growing demand for transparency and traceability, and on the other, the transformative potential of technology. Consumers want to know the origin, social welfare, biodiversity, gender equality data of their purchases. Transparency and traceability are the answers to these demands, but they're not only tools to meet compliance or address risks. What we want to demonstrate today is that they are enablers of value creation. And by that, I mean building trust, enhancing storytelling, fostering deeper consumer engagements, and aligning with the conscious and digitally connected consumer. So one of the key frameworks we developed with our co-founder, Professor Felicitas Morhart, is the value creation wheel, which highlights how these principles resonate across the luxury value chain. So on one hand, you'll see compliance with legislation, protection against counterfeiting, proof of ownership. I would group all of those into what helps to answer compliance and legalese. It's a question of ticking boxes. We then have supply chain transparency, quality and safety control. These are all elements improving operational efficiency and continuous improvement. We then find proof of origin, identification, and localization. These are real core elements to data, traceability data. And finally, and maybe what has been a recurring theme throughout this whole day, storytelling, the holy grail of marketing. Without going into too much detail, and I'm happy to provide more at a later stage, let me share some of the connections we identified between technology and the core values of luxury. So we have detailed documentation meets heritage and craftsmanship. Then consumption history that reinforces status and emotional value. Gamification and immersive tools that amplify delight. And lastly, sustainability, which aligns with the guilt-free luxury. What ties these elements together is technology. And to truly understand the transformative potential and power of technology in marketing, we must look at the innovations that connect transparency directly to the consumer's experience. And this brings me to the digital product passport. I could speak very longly about this, but we have an esteemed group of panelists here who are all experts also in that domain, and I prefer leaving the conversation to them. So without further ado, I look forward to turning myself. Is this, yeah. So without further ado, I'm very happy to welcome you all to this panel. I would suggest, well, first, I would like to just highlight that these panelists represent the entire journey of a diamond, from its precision cutting, to certification, to blockchain-enabled traceability, and finally to consumer engagement. And so let's start with you, Bernard. You are the CEO of Sinova, and could you give us a short understanding of your solutions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Margot. So I think you know already the company Sinova. Our technology is called laser microjet. It's a water jet guided laser. It's a new technology that we have invented in Switzerland and introduced to the diamond industry about now 15 years ago. We started to use the technology for cutting and sewing of diamonds, and thanks to this technology, we could drastically reduce the weight loss during cutting of diamonds. So the yield was increased, and this has led to an increased price of rough diamonds. This was the direct consequence of the introduction of our technology into the sewing of diamonds. Then later on, we developed a second application, the shaping. The shaping means, with a 5-axis machine, the 3D machining of a rough stone. We call the machine Da Vinci because we believe it's as revolutionary as Da Vinci was in his time. And so what does it mean? It's automated, fully automated laser polishing from rough to polished in one step, we can say. The innovation relies in reducing the factory, the classic or traditional polishing factory, in one machine, more or less. We have just before our machine, we have the scanning and planning. Then it goes into our machine, and then you have to remove the black laser layer. We call it the final polishing and grading, and that's it. It's very, very short, very easy. So here are the benefits of our technology for the diamond industry. It's very fast. So we cut, or shape, I have to say, a 1-carat polished stone in 1 hour. So instead of days or weeks with manual or traditional polishing. Then it's very precise. The machine is much more precise than any human being can be, about 1 micron. And it follows exactly the plan. So the plan has to be very precise, and then we follow the plan with a very high accuracy. It's very flexible. We can shape or produce any shape, almost any shape. So even customized shapes now are possible. And you have only, to change the plan, and the machine follows the plan. It's very easy to learn. We say in 1 week you can learn to operate the machine and to shape diamonds. And it's very efficient, environmental, but also you can recover the cut-off chips, and you know that's in average roughly 60% of the weight of the diamond is lost in diamond powder with no value, but we cut off chips that you can still use and keep the value. Then regarding to the integration, it's compatible, our machine, with existing planning software from companies like Sarin, Lexus, and so on. It can also be adapted or integrated into existing tracing solutions. So in summary, we can say we have revolutionized and democratized the diamond manufacturing.
Thank you, Bernard. If I were to go back to my wheel, you would really be in the continuous improvement and improving operational efficiency box, to say the least. Let's move on to Pritesh. Welcome. So you represent GIA. I ask you to give us a short understanding of your solutions, please?
Sure. Right. Can you hear me?
Here, take mine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think many of you know who GIA is, but some of you might not know who GIA is. So let me just start by talking a little bit about GIA. GIA is a not-for-profit organization based in the United States. It's a 93-year-old organization, an independent organization. And our mission is to protect consumer. That's the foundation of everything that we do at GIA. GIA has 4 pillars. First one is being research. GIA does science-based research. We have 60 plus researchers on our staff, 20 plus PhDs on GIA staff who does a lot of research from diamonds physics to fundamental research on color stone, field gemology, all sorts of different topics that GIA does research on. And we use that knowledge that we gain through research in teaching and education. Education is a big part of GIA. GIA has about 260,000 alumni around the world who has gone through GIA's education over decades into that part. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar of GIA is laboratory services. Most of you know GIA based on that of grading diamonds, grading color stone, grading pearls. A lot of those conversations we've been having today is based on GIA's laboratory services. We have 11 labs around the world that provides those services. And then the fourth is we take lot of the knowledge and we come through innovation in our instrumentation development. So GIA does a lot of instrumentation development for our internal use as well as for the purpose of for the industry as well, like gem identification or specific microscopes or other tools that's been used in the industry as well. So that's what GIA's background is. We're an independent organization. So when we look at it, we provide a lot of different services within laboratories, from our diamond grading certifications to color stone services in there. And all of them is based on ensuring that consumers get the most accurate information when they are making the purchasing decisions in that part. And as you mentioned, consumers today are looking for transparency, traceability in all of the products that they buy into that part. In terms of color stones, we have been doing those services of origin for many decades. And we do that based on scientific knowledge that we have gained related to different color stones, sapphires, rubies, emeralds. We have a huge database of field gemologies that over the decades we have collected many of the samples based on that, applying the science, and we make origin determination in there. So that's what in color stone. That is not possible, same thing in diamonds, as we know. Diamonds we can't trace, so there are multiple different ways we provide the transparency and traceability within that within the diamond space as well. So the first one is based on science. We use called a diamond origin service. We call DOR service, where we do look at rough. We do a lot of data collection on spectroscopy, imaging, and multiple different things. And then we match that rough to its polished diamond when we look at it in our grading laboratories as well. So that's one way to bring the origin, as long as we know what Kimberly process certification on package that we get, and we trace that through that way. So that's one. Second one, We do based on purely on auditing base. So that is a service, SVS service we call source verification. It's purely based on auditing. Many of the manufacturers and throughout the industries, they do have a good tracking systems within their own, and we have a third-party auditors that do the service that we provide. And that service is more specifically for organizations that who have a good auditing processes built into that part. So allowing more of traceability come through that part. And then the third option is we are looking at collaboration. So as a lot of panels we today talked about collaboration, how industry needs to come out together, and we have many, many different solutions when it comes to traceability, likes of Tracer, iTraceIt, and many of my panelists here who's going to talk about the different solutions. But ultimately, in order for all of those things to work, interoperability is one of the fundamental things for those traceability platforms in order to work together. So what we play a role is to bringing those things together in building the interoperability within those different solutions through building standardization in how the data has been exchanged. So our work has been going on with Tracer, for example, where we work very, very closely with them on using the existing vehicles of millions of grading report that consumer trust today in the marketplace and putting the provenance information through the Tracer on our grading report that we can provide into that part. So these are different ways that we can provide different solutions using the existing channels to go to the consumers, the trust that GIA has built it with the consumer, and providing them the information so they can make a better decision from that perspective.
Thank you very much, Pritesh. So there it's all about building trust, but also somewhat with the certification entering the compliance sphere too. I really appreciate that. And I think people in the audience might not also understand how pioneering it is to see technology companies coming together to work for a common goal. This is a challenge. Ferial mentioned unity throughout the industry, but unity throughout the technology world is also a big challenge that is being overcome as we can see it today, but it's still work in progress. So congratulations on that. Bruno, this leads me to you. Could you talk to us a little bit about Authentia and your solution?
Thank you. Authentia is born out of 4 generations of know-how in the diamond industry. We have had the opportunity of owning mines in Africa and also around retail stores that have had the opportunity of selling finished product to the consumer. By addressing certain aspects that we felt needed to be brought together in a family of 26 patents that we have filed over the past 7 years on 4 continents, we have been able to create a standard that lives on Authentia. The standard effectively marries the rule of law, which guides the blockchain for many of the specification and application of technology and how you register information on the chain, that lends the technology of being able to provide the standard by identifying first the product with a certificate of origin, which is a patented tool pretty much in Russia, China, European community, United States. We then had identified another need from within the industry, which essentially would create more financing for the industry. And as we all know, much of what our industry is the product of is the shrinkage of the industry dictated by the fact of the banking industry having walked away from financing many of us. So for that particular reason, we launched the title of ownership. If you can imagine that you buy a house or a car or a vessel, and it comes with a title of ownership, you buy a diamond and suddenly you are just, what? You're in a court of law and you can't allow yourself to detail the fact that you are the owner or the rightful owner of the diamond. So this is another living tool that we have brought to the blockchain, as well as having utilized nanomarking. Autentia, or I should say myself, between 2013 and 2016, I have invested in nanomarking, in lasers, in computer visions, and in optics. And having brought all of this together on the blockchain, what we have then identified is actually the creation of a smartphone app, which is using is original optics of, and we have been able to read the nanomarking that we either apply on the surface of the diamond or beneath the surface of the diamond. In 2017, we marked 120 diamonds, flawless and internally flawless, ranging from the size of 1 carat to the biggest was 32 carats. We submitted these diamonds back to the Gemological Institute of America, IGI, HRD, and they actually received exactly the same original certificate as per what the diamond clarity was. So with respect to that, one of the things that we have brought about, and that's what we are told by most of the retail stores, is the ability of leveraging the smartphone to be able to recognize the rough to the polish. And for what I understand, simply because we are just starting to market the platform, we have been able to tie the rough to the polish and being able to authenticate the jewelry by allowing the smartphone to do so. This is the standard that lives on Autentia. The capability of merging the technical solutions with the rough, for example, we either use computer vision, optical analysis of the sphere component of the shape of the diamond. We can employ nanomarking directly on the rough, and or otherwise, depending upon whether the rough is coming from an alluvial mine or otherwise a kimberlite pipe, we have different type of nanomarkers that we apply to the rough, and once again, use the smartphone to recognize the origin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bruno. Very holistic approach to traceability. And now I turn myself to Clemens. Can you talk to us a little bit about provenance proof and your solutions?
Thank you, Margaret. Sure. So I'm Clemens, and I represent a company called Provenance Proof. And our own purpose is, or our only purpose is, to enable the stakeholders of the gems and jewelry industry to participate in transparency. Why is that important? There are two reasons. First of all, you have a story to tell. You add on value, and you want this story to be connected to your gem, to your diamond, and later on to your jewelry. Your incentive there, obviously, is, and that is very fair, to have a premium on your margin. The second reason is actually, these are legal reasons. Now, in many cases, the legal requirements are there that you have to prove transparency and you have to prove traceability. You're responsible for the supply chain of your goods. That means in order to continue to participate in traceability, to participate in the business, to present your gemstones, your diamonds to some of the brands, for example, you have to be compliant to their requests in traceability and transparency. And for that, you need to have some tools which enable to pass on your story with your asset to those brands. In a far vision, actually, we want to even go further. We want that consumers actually are able to do educated purchases. That means that at the point of sales, they can see and they can better understand what they purchase and what they support through their purchases. We started this as an initiative in 2016, actually, and we offer two types of products on the market. One type is enabling physical traceability through tiny nanoparticles which have a synthetic DNA inside. Why synthetic DNA? Because it is the best medium to store information on the least size. That means we can mark any gemstone, diamond, or even jewelry pieces at any stage within the supply chain with a unique DNA of the person of the company there. That means we can mark emeralds at the mine with the DNA of the miner. We can add diamonds after cutting in the facility of a lapidary. And we can even mark jewelry at the point of sales or before. This is the one product, and the second product is the problem is with marking a gemstone at a specific space is it only allows the traceability back to that point, right? But thereafter, everything stays intransparent. That means you mark a gemstone at the mine, then you can trace it back to the mine. But what happens to the gemstone afterwards? There's a cutting procedure, for example. This is a very important point. This is adding so much value. There's artistic knowledge behind. You don't want to hide it, but it's difficult to pass this story on. That means already 2017, we had the vision to also enable a digital traceability and trackability program. And that ended in the, or it didn't end, it led to the provenance-proof blockchain. We don't have to discuss about blockchain now. It is always a bit confusing. We only backed our system with a blockchain because it's the only way how we can guarantee you privacy, and at the same time we can assure that once someone wrote a chapter into this digital logbook, it's immutable and cannot be changed thereafter. Now, we launched this 2019, the provenance-proof blockchain, enabling any gemstone, at that time only colored gemstones, to create a digital logbook, which can be passed on all the way through the supply chain to the consumer. Both products are out, and actually, Richard, I have to say thank you to you, because the last panel couldn't have been a better introduction to our work. 3 panelists on that panel, the ones dealing with colored gemstones, so Gemfields and Fura, representative Shetty, and now his new company, as well as Jewel of Africa, are actually partnering us for the transparency. Gemfields was the first company using our tracers, our physical tracers for the emeralds, and actually Richard from the Jewels of Africa, I'm very excited to have you here. You were actually the worldwide first buyer of fully traceable emeralds, already in, I guess, 2017, if I'm not wrong. So you can see, the systems are out and the systems are applied. And yeah, that's us.
Thank you, Clemens. That was very comprehensive as explanation. Thank you very much. And now I would like to move on to Hans. Can you talk just in 2 words about original luxury, what it is as an initiative, and then the fact that we have now deployed some digital product passports and how these create a seamless and transparent consumer experience.
Thank you, Margot. You're the creator of original luxury, so you would be better at that, but it's a community today of over 250 luxury brands and over 25 technology partners. I think everybody on the panel here are part of our initiative where we promote transparency and traceability and the value that transparency and traceability can bring to the industry. Let me jump to the digital product passports, something that I wholeheartedly believe in, but not in its current state. We developed actually not as original, but the former company, but still we did. We were exactly the same co-founders. The first digital product passports, they didn't have that name then, but over 15 years ago. We did it for fast-moving consumer goods. We did it initially with Interpol, then we did it for the World Customs Organization. We did it again now for the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area, with whom we have a partnership and a contract to empower people to make better, safer product choices, with His Excellency Wamke Lemene, the Secretary General. But we realized that in that product that we had created, there is additional value. Now, we certainly don't want to compete and did not want to compete with anybody that is sitting here to my right, quite in the contrary. But we realized that there is a value and a need for digital product passports to be open and to be able to integrate different elements from different providers. Every one of you here to my right, you're content providers to a certain extent. Sometimes you overlap, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have different solutions, sometimes you have better solutions, sometimes worse solutions, but you are content providers. We believe that a digital passport of passports has value in the industry. That's number one, where integration, open integration is at its core. The second one is, which is something that we don't see very often, is that a digital product passport needs to be infinite. A lot of passports today are a digital twin of a product that you buy. It's a fantastic story of great value that each of you bring, but from a consumer point of view, and I mean no disrespect, it's like watching the History Channel day in, day out. It's very technical, it's like, it's not exciting. We talk about storytelling here, and that's the third part. There has to be excitement. There has to be incentivized, immersive experiences. I wish Netflix was here, Facebook was here. I wish we were talking to others that Facebook, when they plateaued at 90 million users, they said, that's probably it. Then they went to 800, they went public, their stock went down, they said, that is it. They're 3 billion now. We need to learn from this experience, and it's not by being technical that they were able to do that. And the last one, which is one element that we started to working on, you need to take all of this experience, you need to create the engagement, and then you need to create the marketplace. So most of you are already aligned with us that we will create the marketplace for jewelry, exclusive for jewelry with digital product passports, either one of yours or recomposed within a data capsule that we can provide. But the marketplace, when we talk to small jewelers, medium jewelers, the marketplace, when we talk to all of them, is what's missing. What is the trusted place where I can buy a piece of jewelry and really learn about the piece, the creator of the piece, what was behind the thinking of that piece, and then the materials, the precious stones, and so on. But in a way that engages them and wants them to buy more. You need, when you go to that marketplace, it needs to be an explosion of experiences and discoveries that you haven't had before. Not just, here is a blockchain element, here is where it came from, and here is how we can authenticate this piece and that piece. Now, let me repeat again, it's absolutely vital that we have all of that, but I think what we're missing is the fun part, and that's the part where we believe we might have an important role to play.
Thank you very much, Hans. I'd like to now deep a little deeper with each of you into what your solutions can bring when it comes to the consumer engagement or the marketing sphere. So Bernard, in what ways does Sinnova's technology contribute to more sustainable and inclusive partnerships between diamond producing and processing countries, and how else do you contribute to the storytelling of luxury?
Yeah, thank you for this, I think, quite important question. So I think our technology really connects two parties of the party, meaning the miners and the retailers. So with our technology, the miners can take care on the manufacturing and then talk directly to the retailers. First, we can say that with our technology, you can add value to the economy, especially of the African diamond mining countries. If you can also say that no other mineral is so well suited for local processing as diamond, because diamonds are small and our technology is not so complicated. So when you compare this to oil and gas, this is totally a different scale. Africa is rich on minerals. It can also be rich, on industry by taking care on processing the minerals. It's possible now with this technology, if you introduce it, in the mining country, to create employments, and we can say high value or high skilled people are needed. It's very important to mention that because of the short production time, the inventory of polished stones can be very small. So you can produce on demand, which does not exist today. So we have heard this morning that this can be very dangerous if you have a forecast, and then the forecast is wrong and you have a big inventory, and this creates big problems. Then it favors also development of local community because of the additional business revenues that can be then invested into education, infrastructure, and healthcare. So we can say that, the solution that we have in mind are automated cutting and polishing hubs. Can be small, can be large. It can start from one machine, it can go up to 80 machines, or even more. This can be established in a partnership, in a public-private partnership. The funding can be done through, for example, African Development Bank, World Bank, or the government itself, plus private organizations. You can begin, by the way, with existing Da Vinci factories that Sinova has set up, so far in Switzerland, Dubai, and Surat. And we are going to open very soon Da Vinci factories in Gaborone and New York. So, and then we are in discussion with partnerships. I'm happy to hear this also during here our panel discussion, partnership with Sarin and GIA to push further this approach. We also open for discussion of joint ventures. We have been approached by several companies whether Sinova is open to become partner. So we are open for these discussions. But Sinova is not the operator and is not the funding partner. We have the entire recipe. We know the recipe. We have a business plan that we have established with McKinsey in Switzerland. We are able to set up such a hub. It's no problem for us. We provide the technology and training and maintenance. The operation of the hub should be done by the local people that we can train, or by a company we work now together with the Constel Group that has a large experience in polishing diamonds. The technology is already field proven. We have Da Vinci's installed in Europe, North America, and Africa. We can say that we can provide the total solution for beneficiation. And this is not just a copy of Indian polishing factory. It's something different. Now coming to your question about storytelling, I think that's quite important. The story we can tell with our technology is we can really say made in Africa, fully made in Africa, or made in Botswana, made in Angola, and so on. Here you can also add in the mining country the jewelry production. So you can supply at the end a complete mounted jewelry. Automation supports also social and environmental responsibility. We create well-paid jobs in Africa thanks to the technology. And also this technology, by the way, can be used for other applications. So, because it's always dangerous to depend on just one product, so this technology can be used to cut different parts for example, medical industry, for aerospace, and so on. So, what I want to add at the end is we can add another story to the diamond story. We have the possibility to customize the diamond according to the wishes and the ideas of the customer. So it can be his own diamond with his own design. That is now possible. And then we can create something completely new, very exciting, a custom experience by demonstrating the process in a showroom. This opens new marketing strategies, and I can already announce that this will happen quite soon in a European metropole, that the Da Vinci machine will be installed in a luxury jewelry shop, and people can select the stone, they can select the type of stone, the color, the shape, and so on, and then observe how our machine is cutting and shaping the stone in quite short time, 1 hour. It's a very attractive process. He can see it with his own eyes, and then at the end of the day, take it home in his own jewelry. So this is now possible with that technology, and it will happen. It's very soon.
That's very exciting news. I really look forward to seeing that, and I have no doubt that it will enhance the consumer engagement side of things for sure. Pritesh, do you want to elaborate a bit more on what you're doing with Tracer? You mentioned it, but I'm not sure if you want to, or if you want to deep more into the consumer interests in sustainable and ethical practices that are growing, and how GIA is addressing this. I'll leave it up to you. We just need to manage time a little bit.
I can actually briefly talk about both of them. So on the, I think we talk about a lot of different solutions, and as I mentioned earlier, all of this is going to happen if a lot of different part of the supply chain comes together and creates that. There's no one party can have all of this information and data to create a full transparency. And so having everyone come together is an important part. And above and beyond, we can provide a lot of technology and bring a lot of things into it. Ultimately, it's going to start with the trust and the consumer trust. And so from GIA's perspective, we are that trusted organization that consumer trust, and that's the one thing we bring to the table. The brand that is very much recognized by consumers through our millions of grading report that consumer sees in that part. So that is a fundamental important. We can create a lot of different experiences, we can create a lot of different things, but if it's not based on a foundation of that trust, those things will not work, right? So I think that's a very, very important. Experiences and all those things are based on that part of it. So to the help, and today has been discussed a lot of things about how do we bring parties together. So to that point, we've been working with Tracer in there, and so one of our objective is there's a different components within the supply chain, rough to rough matching, rough to polish, and polish to polish matching. So we're collaborating with Tracer in parts of all aspects of it, is how to help bring more parties, more participants on the platform, manufacturers who are our customers, the other mining companies, and collaborating together so we can get the origin information. Then in the middle of the supply chain, working with Tracer and Serene together to do the rough to polish matching. And then while we're grading that information, that interoperate between Tracer and GIA, so that our grading reports can carry the information of provenance, and the story can be told either through Tracer platform or a grading report that GIA provides to the millions of customers. So our ability to provide both of those things, and on foundation of that, then any of the retailers or platforms who wants to build a digital passport or things on top of it, they can do it. Platforms like Aura and others who have come on board are going to be using that data and the information that we build it with it in there. So our role is to get a lot of parties together. As a more trust is built in the platform, then we can do it. At the same time, we're working with Tracer on building the standard foundation of how the interoperability. So if any of other platforms wants to use that information and data, they will be able to use this in a standardized way, because without that standard, it's a very difficult for all of the different blockchain platforms or them to talk with each other. And there going to be need for that in order to take any of the solutions out into the marketplace. So our role working with Tracer is in multiple, through building the trust and the foundation of it, getting the different data points as a standardized way to do it, and bringing that to the consumer through our grading reports. On the other question that you asked about our work on bringing more of other sustainability and other solutions to the market, we do a lot of work, and an earlier panel talked about pearls, for example. So we as GIA work with Nature Conservatory to look at the impact of pearls, for example, on the environment, and how it's helping growing, harvesting pearls into that and the environmental impact. So we're able to scientifically calculate all of that information. So now we're providing that tool to the pearl farmers who can use and self-assess themselves of how the growth impact on the environment. So again, using that information as a part of the storytelling as the things goes with it. So that's a groundbreaking work that GI has been doing with Nature Conservatory, and they will come out in there. Again, it's not only about in a single for GI's only with doing in diamond, but we do the same work in pearls, in color stones, in a lot of different gemstones in there, and creating the standards that we all can operate onto that part of it. So you will see a lot more things that will be coming through the market, especially in terms of Tracer or other platforms that we'll work with.
Thank you so much, Pritesh. Again, exciting things to come. Looking forward to seeing this standard come to life with Tracer. I'll move on to Bruno. Bruno, can you talk to us a little bit about the added value you bring to the luxury marketing efforts? And I'm going to do a two-in-one here also. Maybe piggyback on what Hans spoke about with digital product passports and how can Authentia contribute there?
Thank you. Well, we have just recently launched our smartphone app, which allows, and this is not so much my opinion, but one of the largest brand retail stores in the world that is, as we speak, piloting our smartphone app. As we are the only public blockchain that is creating a footprint of non-De Beers minds. What we bring to the table is effectively the other side of the universe. As we see it, the ability to be able to allow a retail store chain to leverage the smartphone. I mean, I don't know about you, but I go to sleep with my wife on one side and my smartphone on the other side. The truth of the matter is that today we do everything with a smartphone. It is far more than a phone, and it is the most important communication tools that engage the Gen Zs, the baby boomer, and everybody in between. Our smartphone app, which is connected directly to the marking of the RAF at the source, and it is able to bridge the relationship between the RAF and the polish, allows the brand for the first time to differentiate themselves among other retail stores and being able to attract their consumer by providing exactly that point of provenance and trust, which lives within the transparent and security layer of our blockchain. Among many other aspects, when we talk about heritage, when we talk about being able to exhort the value of a specific African country, we are embedding holographic movies in the data metrics that accompanies the polished diamond. So imagine being at the counter and being able to pull your own smartphone and direct it directly on the piece of jewelry. By the way, not the loose diamond, a piece of jewelry. The diamond is mounted, you utilize your smartphone, your app works on your biometrics, it opens up and connects you directly by a code that is basically the connection between your cornea and the application of the technology that we have embedded in our blockchain. It allows you to read the nano marker that in this particular case would be embedded inside the diamond. And from there on, you can pull up a certificate from the GAA, you can pull up a movie that shows you the community behind the diamond, you can pull up the certificate of origin, which will attest to the fact that the diamond comes from the African continent, that is born in the country of South Africa, that is coming from the Orange River region, and that originally the diamond was in the rough 4-carat-10. And now imagine an holographic movie in which you can actually play with your finger and move the figures that are projected on your smartphone. All of that is here, it's now, and it's available. So when a retail store is able to give and grant so much of that powerful storytelling, it actually establishes also a value of trust. And that is what the consumer keeps on coming back with. A retail store or brand can also showcase, exactly as Hans was saying, its product, its craftsmanship. You can create a bespoke program that hypes up a specific type of product that comes from a very specific part of the world. And this is pretty much what I believe our smartphone app is capable to do. With respect to the digital passport, we all need interoperability, which refers effectively to the ability of two systems to be able to connect it and clearly exchange information. In our particular project, we build our blockchain on the basis of a decentralized system. Now, this may be a confusing word, but all of what it does, or what it means, is that you are able to secure your data in a way in which whatever the private information is private information and it's not actually shown. And everything that can and wants to be read is possible to be able to do so. We utilize a security method that allows, we issue a key. This is a personal key. This is a key that allows you to meet the private and the public key and being able to show the data. As mentioned, we created a standard. So being able to formalize and make available data in blocks, it allows also the opportunity for other stakeholders to be able to enter the chain at any given moment and fluidly pass their information. These are some of the components that I would introduce in the digital passport.
So also some exciting news to come. I look forward to being able to experience it with your application.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Clemens, I'm also going to do a 2-in-1. If you could talk to us, because we know from previous events you have some very innovative initiatives that you have launched, and maybe you can describe a little bit what challenges you've been trying to address through these innovations. And then we also know that you are very consumer-facing through your partnerships with brands and the different, I would say you go further than just doing traceability of stones. You also go for watches and built jewelry pieces. So I would love to hear a little bit more about what you've been doing on the consumer side and the experiences you've had.
Okay, thank you. So it's actually a lot to answer. I will break it down in 2 points. One point is what we have done recently, and the second one, then I'll come to transparency and marketing, actually, and my personal experience or provenance proof experience. Okay, so to make it easy, the first question is very easy to answer, very pragmatic. A lot is being discussed about traceability and transparency of diamonds these days for various reasons. It became very important. Not so much about storytelling and marketing, it's more about supply chain risk management, actually, but still very important. And nevertheless, the main focus, no matter if it was G7 or Tracer or let's say technology companies and so on, was given to diamonds bigger than 1 carat or bigger than 0.5 carat. Nevertheless, there are a lot of diamonds much smaller than that, actually what we call millet in the industry. And by excluding those in the transparency and traceability, actually you exclude the entire watch industry. And coming out of Switzerland, of course, watch industry for us is very important, and we wanted to include them again. And we tried to fill this gap in this year, and we managed to fill this gap. That means we are now enabling provable traceability for millet diamonds. So for diamonds far below 0.3 carats. And we launched it, actually. We launched it beginning this year together with a first partner, I think I can mention, KGK Swiss. And we're very proud, and the resonance is there. People are excited to have the first ones in the market. I don't know where it is, it's not me to sell them, but I assume they are out already. That was a milestone for us, actually, I have to say, and I was very excited to close this gap. And besides that, let's talk about marketing, actually, because marketing is storytelling, so it's product passport, digital passport, what you have talked about. The funny thing is, we are in this sector since 2016. We have, I don't know, close to 40 million assets on our blockchain, so gems, diamonds, pearls, jewelry, and so on. We have spaces for storytelling, and we thought already in 2017 when we launched our products that storytelling is like the major incentive and participate in traceability and transparency, and that the brands at the end will use the story behind to actually market their goods. And it actually turned out it wasn't. For a very long time, no brand took the story of the gemstones into their marketing facing the consumer. But there was another reason for the entire industry to join transparency, and that was actually compliance and supply chain risk management. Until now, this is maybe the main driver, if we are honest, in a large scale, but things have changed now. Since 1 or 2 years, or maybe 2.5 years, not the biggest brands, but let's say the mid-tier jewelers and the mid-tier designers and the small designers figured out that actually there is a potential of marketing, a strong potential. There's a potential of increasing the margin through storytelling and through passing on the traceability to consumers. And that is something that encourages me, because we want that consumers can purchase and know what they buy. So marketing, yes, but I think the real power of marketing through traceability, I think this is something we are still heading for. We don't have it yet. Only some very few brands start now to play around with the marketing potential and to pass on some stories, but I think, let's see in 1 year.
I agree with you, Clemens. It's story making in the making. And this leads me to our last panelist and the last questions for today. So maybe with everything you've heard here, Hans, maybe you can give us some perspective on what could be the next steps a digital product passport could bring, going beyond traceability.
I wish I could do that. I think everybody would be happy if I could just have that crystal ball, but I can share some ideas. I think the one thing that is important to recognize is that we have been in this industry, in the traceability industry, for 20 years now. Never have we seen an industry that has paid so much attention to traceability and transparency as the diamond industry is and has over the last year. Nobody has gone to that extent unless a regulator forced them to do so, and that is not the case yet. That's number one. Number two, now that we have everybody's attention with traceability and proof of origin, now you need to make it fun. And that's the part that's missing. It is missing from every debate that we had over the last year and a half, including the one here. It has been very technical. It's very interesting, but I don't think you're going to engage with consumers with just that. It doesn't matter how interesting you make your story of how this stone went from mine to the first step and the third in the value chain and then made it into a piece of jewelry. There are fun things that could be done here. First of all, you need to tell the story that we have seen a little bit here. What happened in those mines, the schools that were built, the education that was paid for, the communities that depend on that. That creates the personal attachment to an object of luxury that is not being considered enough today yet. You could do fun things. If I look at Sinova, why not? You know, you cut stones, they're brothers and sisters, right? Because they come from the same, why not find your brother? Where did my brother or my sister end up? Huh? You think it's crazy, but why not? It's just, we have to get out of our box a little bit of traceability and transparency and go to the next level, but then also realize that, I mentioned as an example Netflix or Apple TV or anything like that before. Sometimes I feel like we are Sony Studios, and if you want to watch my movie, you have to have a Sony TV, otherwise you're not allowed to. We need to get out in that level of collaboration where we understand that we're content providers, powerful content providers, and that content can be used on Apple TV, it can be used on Netflix and others, as it is the case in the media industry, and the media industry went through a very tough time getting there, but they did very successfully. Some of them failed, but very successfully. And I think getting to this level of fun engagement, incentivized engagement, this should be the next level that we're looking at. And I hope that for the next Diamond and Gems conference that we organize, that level of engagement is at least part of some of the panels. Publicis should be here. WPP should be here. They should be sitting here telling us what, not me, telling us what could we do to completely revive the industry. Because the foundation you have set and others have said, you have created the foundation for that to happen. And I think all of you in the industry, by paying the attention to traceability and transparency as you have created the very solid grounds to now go to the next level and make natural diamonds, again, something that is highly desirable and something that you look at night and you say, look, I have this and I want to get that the next time. You can get there because you have the foundation. So I think this is where you need to go with digital product passports, and selling, reselling, second-hand market is absolutely crucial. How do you bring this, how do you give, as I said, the continuous life to a digital product passport, and how do you make sure that you can trust it? Because the second-hand industry, luxury industry, is now bigger than the luxury industry itself. Let's not forget that. And reselling that, exchange products, trading in, all of that, digital platforms will address and can address if we all spend a little bit of time and resources, maybe a few of those extra 200 million that you said you would bring in today, on that, to build that kind of platform and incentivation for customers.
Thank you very much, Hans. Well, this brings us to the end of this very interesting panel. And I think the only wrap-up words I would like to mention is that I also want to piggyback on this category marketing that was spoken about now at various conferences and that the diamond industry is aiming to achieve. And to just, in the spirit of unity and collaboration, not forget to leverage all our technology partners and the potential that they can bring to bring this marketing to life. So please keep them in mind. And with that, I would like you to join me in thanking my esteemed panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Margot. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Pritesh. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Clemens. And thank you, Hans. Thank you very much for, yeah, well, what do they say at the A-team? What does Hannibal say? I love it when a plan comes together. And it worked. And it worked very well. You are released for today. And we will see you at 8:30 for the dinner, and it's at the Malibu at the pool. Malibu at the pool in the net. At 6:30, the shuttle will take our guests that are in the Rotana there, and they will be picked up again at 8 in order to make it back to the net, and then later at night back to their hotel. So that is organized and that is well done. Again, thank you so much, all of you, all of the panelists, the moderators, you delegates who set all this out. But I think that today we have put a day that hopefully you will not forget. What you are not going to forget definitely is tomorrow, because at 1:30, at 9, we have the Qatar Invest panel and presentations here. And that will take an hour. Then we have a break until 12:30 for lunch. And those of you who have talked to Irina, I hope that you will take the chance to go to the National Museum. Then we have at 1:30 the panel that is moderated by Dr. Frank Müller, and you have it here in the program. It's going to be actually an extension or a follow-up on what we have talked to this today. And this is what we try to do. We try to create a logical order in these panels so that you get away with a, let's call it a wholesome experience. And then we go to the farm. Now, my advice is that when you want to be comfortable and not to be under pressure, come to the panel already in casual clothes and with the layers you want to bring in your hand, in a bag, whatever. I will come from another hotel. I'm not in either of the hotels here. I will come with a bag and I will change and bring it in the bus and take it back with me from the bus back to the hotel. But if you want to come to the panel tomorrow in casual clothes that you're going to wear at the farm, that's great. Because again, as someone who lives in a desert, it's going to be nice. The temperature will be benign. But when you sit for a panel for an hour on a chair, a comfortable chair, you will get chilly. So it's good to bring, as my mother say, bring layers that you can peel off and put on. And then you're going to be fine. All right? So thank you again, moderators, panelists, and everybody and delegates for coming. We loved having you here at this first day at the inaugural Doha International Diamond and Gem Conference. And we'll see you tonight. And definitely, we will see you tomorrow. The moniker Hotel California will only be canceled on Friday morning. Thank you. Yes, we need a picture. So stay on the stage for a moment. We want to give the photographers a chance to do their work and create a memory here. Thank you.